Hi, I'm Saskia of Saskia's Flower Essences, which is based in Wincanton, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you about using flower essences in food and drink today. Usually they're used as drops under the tongue, so think bark flower remedies rather than essential oils, and they're used for behavioural and emotional issues. However, they can also be used on a much lighter note for adding to food and drinks. So I first started getting into flower essences in the turn of the century, year 2000, that kind of time, when my life was a mess, my kids were being a nightmare, my relationship was falling apart, and I really needed some help. And a friend who was a homeopath suggested we tried flower essences. She was also having a hard time. So we tried them, and the ones we were using were the Australian flower essences. So they were from plants that I didn't know. Being a florist and a gardener professionally, I kind of knew my plants, but I had no emotional connection to them. So we thought we'd give it a go. It didn't seem too difficult a thing to get on with when we read it in the book, how to make one. And so here I am, like 20 years on, with a kind of flourishing business making and selling flower essences. So flower essences basically are drops that you take under your tongue, the vibration of the plant held in water, and the water has alcohol added, which fixes the information into the bottle. So basically one of these bottles contains the vibration of a plant. It contains no material matter, so it doesn't smell, it doesn't taste of herbs or anything like a tincture would be, but it has the message of that plant in it. So a bit like a record holds the vibration of someone's voice or a song that you can then listen back to whenever you want and have that feeling of that song. A flower essence has, well, these are combinations, but the single essences just contain the vibration of one particular plant. So when you take those drops into your body, all the water in your body gets the feeling of being like an oak tree or a buttercup or whatever the essence is that you're taking. And so it reprograms your body and how you think and your emotions and how you behave. So how you make them is quite a simple process. It's not as difficult as making a record, but you have a bowl of spring water and you float the flowers on the top, and the sunshine takes a photo of in theory, it doesn't actually take a photo, but it takes a photo of the vibration of that plant and holds it between the water molecules. And then after a few hours, you take the flowers out and you add alcohol, and that fixes it in there. So you've got a liquid that just holds that vibration of that plant, and then you dilute that down. So it's not you don't dilute it down like you would in homeopathy. It's only a couple of times diluted, but that makes it so it's at the level that the human body can absorb. So usually they're used for emotional behavioural problems. We're not allowed to say they help with physical things, but in general we understand that how we are emotionally affects how our physical behaviour, and lots of stress related illnesses are caused by us being stressed out or anxious or depressed or whatever. So they've really come into their own recently, the flower essences, because people have been really needing them. So another way of using flower essences, which a bit like having a relationship, you can kind of take it on all sorts of levels. With flower essences, you can either take them just as a one-off, like you might do with rescue remedy, just when you've had an accident, or when you're public speaking, so you can use the speaking with confidence, for instance, just as a light thing, or you can go on a deep personal development journey with them. And one of the really nice ways of using them is just on the light-hearted front, is to use them in food and drink. I wouldn't actually use them in hot food and drink. I usually recommend people use them like in cold. We're going to make up a spritzer here as a non-alcoholic version with my Sexy and Gorgeous in it, which is very good. So you could add, if you wanted, kind of on a chef level, you can take them to add a different dimension. So you could add like blackberry flower essence to like a blackberry coulis, or to pour a sauce that you pour over blackberry and apple crumble, for instance, to give it make it more blackberry, or make it more like crab. We'd make a crab apple essence, so that could be used to make something feel like crisper and cleaner. So like add it to a sorbet, or just like with making food in general, your imagination's kind of as wide as it can go really with using essences. So yeah, so just a simple punch, and you might just I've got some elderflower cordial someone made for me. So you just like you normally do, just put a bit in, and then add your fizzy water, which doesn't sound very fizzy. A bit of lemon, a bit of mint, whatever you normally put in, those sort of things. A few mint leaves there. And I've got some borage in my arrangement that came from my garden. And then, yeah, just a few drops of whichever flower essence you want. And there you go. Cheers. That's rather good. So the possibilities with food and drink are endless, really. We've got a range of 46 different essences, and each one has a different personality to it. As I said, you might want to use blackberry in something, or this carrot essence might be really good. Carrot's very as we know, carrots are kind of very grounding and solid and warming, and they're very good for organisational issues if you're going to take it on a different level. So the carrot is actually in our Focus, Energize, Create blend that's there, and lots of people find that really, really useful. So yeah, so that once you've got that's what we discovered when we were making them, was once you've got a selection of single essences, especially me using, having been a florist for a long time, very tempting to mix them up into mixes. Of Rescue Remedy is the most famous, and that's our shock release. But I think if Bach had lived longer, Edward Bach was the guy who first invented flower essences in the 1930s. I think if he'd lived longer, he would have made more combinations. The Breathe Deep Seek piece is very good for people who find trouble sleeping or relaxing or stopping worrying. In fact, we won an award for better product with that one, which we're rather chuffed with. So yeah, so that's a basic intro to flower essences, if you like, and some ideas of how you might use them and what you might use them for. If you want to find out more, obviously I'm online, but also got a little shop in Wincanton where we are today, and yeah, come and visit me there.